An unsurpassed, penetrating, and perfect Dharma is rarely met with even in 100,000 million kalpas. Having to see, listen to remember and accept, I vow to taste the truth of the entire cosmos.
So that's what this Dharma is for me. It's a penetrating Dharma. Unlike anything that I personally have heard. It's more meaningful to me than breath. That's it informs every aspect of my life. I'm not saying that I follow it perfectly. um, I, I plead the fifth on that one. But it never departs from me. And at the time of my choice, I can drop into it. And it always gives me a direction in which to go. I'm still recovering from the experience I had yesterday. There's a song in a Christian song that I used to really love. I forget who sang it. Somebody, mass choir. It was massive, 200 people in the choir. And it was God gave me a song that the angels cannot sing. And that's how I feel today. I got a song. Try to get to the top. It's just a kind of gratitude. And I haven't fully penetrated it yet. This is just like being at the bottom of a mountain that you have to climb. But if you like climbing mountains, then you're excited about the climb. Now, I'm not one of those. At the bottom is okay with me. But it's like the anticipation. Whew. It's like the embarking. It's not like coming to the ending of something. It's like embarking upon something. I think I got myself together enough. The reason it is not easy to awaken is that the meaning and doctrine contained in the Buddhist sutras are too profound and overly elaborate. Additionally, there's a lack of detailed explanations. This is one reason. Secondly, it is very difficult to integrate the expositions of the Dharma given by masters of the past with worldly truths, or to express them using worldly language. And so sometimes the truth is confusingly presented, and hollow sentences muddle your head. Sometimes teachers quote memorized things inside and out, such as true emptiness is marvelous existence. What is that? Or one should enter into contemplation but not contemplate. Or the characteristic of non-abiding is actually not a characteristic. Therefore, we should expound the Dharma as if we were casually chatting, addressing each topic in the order it appeared in the sutra, and showing the way in a precise and accurate manner. We didn't have Dharma on Wednesday, right? We did. Okay. So I think it was Wednesday, and I opened up for, if you have a question, feel free to ask a question. But I should have done a little more thorough explanation. I mean, if you have a question about what I'm talking about, not just a question that pops in your head, even if it's a question about your practice or something like that. It's not at a time that the Dharma is being expounded. If you have a question about that, that's the time to ask that question. So I apologize because something that was trying to come through ended up not coming through. And I regret that, because the moment for it has passed. It's not the moment. Then was the moment. And it's one reason why I don't open it up, because our minds are wherever our minds are. But we should try very hard to penetrate to the truth, to discover the meaning of what is being said right here, right now. It's a kind of inspiration that is immediate and present for untying knots. And sometimes in the moment, we don't really see its relevance, or we don't hear it, we don't get it. But later, tomorrow, something will happen. And then it's, oh, that's what that meant. Or because I heard that, I know what's happening right here. Or because, I thought about what does that mean? Or maybe I didn't even think about it, and it came back to me. And this is how we grow in the Dharma and penetrate to the meaning of things. He said the wondrous doctrine of prajna, which is what I'm talking about today, is very profound. It's for this reason that the Buddha manifested the Pure Land, which is like an illusory city, and spoke words as a skillful means to take in living beings in the three spheres. When one arrives at the world of ultimate bliss, one still must progress to higher levels. One must listen to the ultimate truth as imparted by the Buddhas. You can see this is explained very clearly. For the sake of the accomplishment of living beings, the Buddha manifested an illusory city. Now, there's a little gap between what I was talking about last time and what I'm saying here, because I didn't get a chance to fill in that gap. It says, again, for the sake of the accomplishment of living beings, the Buddha manifested an illusory city. Manifested a world, right, to take in living beings in the three worlds. And that's called the world of ultimate bliss. Manifesting. And I want to separate. There's a lot of talk about manifesting. So I want to be careful that we don't mix it up with a lot of what we hear today about in the world about manifesting, and using our mind to manifest, using our mind to manifest things, using our mind to manifest things. This manifestation doesn't come about as a byproduct of using our mind. The manifestation that he's speaking of is the fruit of prajna impacting the mind, and that's a very different thing. So whenever there is the original thing, there is the counterfeit. And it seems in our state of ignorance that we are easily attracted to the counterfeit, but not so much to the real thing. Somehow we feel that the counterfeit, it seems to be brighter, easier, sounds more true. But that requires a diminishment of the self we reject. And that's the reason that we cannot enter into the brightness of our Dharmakaya nature, which is without limit. So last week we were talking about how we are beings that think in accordance with external conditions. But the time can come when external conditions will line up with the way we think. They will change in accordance with our thinking, so that to think the thing is not to set something in motion for it to come about in a future time, but to think a thing is for the whole thing to shift and change right in that moment. Now, the whole world can't do this because we have different, we're just on different levels. We have different propensities with different stages of development. And we're really concerned about what stage of development other people are in, but we need to be concerned about what stage of development we are in. I need to be concerned about what stage of development I am in. And because we are so other concerned, we waste our time looking at them and talking about them and wondering what they're going to do, and we never develop our own capacity, that which could actually definitely shift some things, not all things, but many things. Many things in the physical world, but moreover, revealing to us that the other shore is none other than where I am. When you start to get a glimpse of this, everything changes. How you understand each other, how we understand each other. Our capacity to save living beings. And enter into a space of usage. Now you say, usage. As the saying goes, the first mountain is the start of your journey. But if you still need to climb the cloud-covered peaks. So the world of ultimate bliss is not an ultimate destination. Rather, it is an illusory city. Place. Holy and ordinary beings live there. However, ordinary people will not descend into samsara. That is, they will never again be shackled by cyclic birth and death in samsara. Relying upon Buddha power, the awakened nature. They will not be fettered by transmigration into samsara. However, learning Dharma there is very difficult. Learning from Buddha at that place, there, it's not like learning from Buddha here, where if you cultivate yourself well, you can realize prajna in one lifetime. The world of Amitabha Buddha is called the world of ultimate bliss. Learning the Dharma is very difficult in that world. It's very difficult to achieve accomplishment there. One day of practice here in our world takes at least a few decades of practice there in that world to accumulate the same amount of merit. Thus, one who learns Dharma in the world of ultimate bliss has to be taught many hundreds or millions of years before one can become a Buddha. Now that you disciples understand this truth, you should earnestly practice with your three karmas in correspondence to strive to realize in this world the ultimate truth. That is the truth of prajna. When the bardo state appears, why? It is because the meaning and doctrine of prajna are often unfathomably profound, and as such, practitioners end up counting the treasure of others. You were counting the treasure of others. Mm.
Envy?
Hmm.
Is it envy?
No, it's that it's like when you learn being able to utter platitudes, like just talking the Dharma, but you haven't actually realized the truth. You just became a good talker of the Dharma. It's like that. He says, but when the bardo state appears, you'll be unable to control your destiny. In that case, you'll not be able to liberate yourself when the state of bardo appears before you, and you will end up going to the netherworld. And then I'm gonna stop what he's talking about right here, because he goes into a lot of conversations about what happens in the bardo. And I think actually this is something that was just specifically for me. I can read this part. Disciples, besides practicing the preliminary practices and the main practices, you should also practice the power Dharma, the Dharma of transferring consciousness upward. Just in case the bardo state appears before you and you are unable to freely control your own birth and death, then you can apply the power Dharma to transfer your consciousness so that you will ascend to the Pure Lands. He's talking about all of these different dharmas are given. They're given to solve, problems. They're not given for us to just have something. And like a lot of people run to get initiations, but they mean absolutely nothing because you had an initiation. I mean, not even understanding the purpose of it and what it is given for. It's like somebody giving you money to use in a land that you're traveling to, and they don't use money. It's useless. So he says, Pure Land Dharma and prajna are two Dharma treasures, but they're very different levels for saving living beings. So I used to think originally Pure Land meant like going to heaven. I just swapped it over my theology. Of course, now I understand things or hold them a little bit differently. I know that in the heaven that I was envisioning, I know there's certain things that are there. So it has to be within the three spheres. And he said, I am jealous God. He said, another time I'm an angry one. You don't do things the way I want. Not only will I get you and your children and your children's children. Okay. But I understand. So, but if you do good, then I bless you and your children and your children's children. So that there's a capacity there for something that not only demands respect, but we understand that it's at different levels of saving beings. So our Buddha Master said that one cannot even be attracted to the Dharma until they've reached a certain level. And the stuff just won't make any sense to you. And you can't use it. But we know that when we get to a certain level, things that were useful to us at another stage, they stop working. And then we have to have something else that helps us on the level of consciousness that we're on. And sometimes that means holding something that we preciously received at one time and we have to almost set something down to pick something up, or we'll just stay like in a confused state. You know how when you're moving, you're transitioning. It's sort of like you need some of that, not 100%, and you're getting this, but you don't want 100% of it, because you can't make use of it, and that's okay. But sometimes we stay too long, and then we'll find ourselves muddled and confused. Can't go forward, can't go back. And that's when we know that it's time to decide, whether we're all in or not. Now, the Buddha doesn't care whether you're all in. I don't care whether you're all in, So there's nobody chasing you. This is a decision one comes to within their own heart and mind, just based on the turmoil and the confusion that's inside. So when Buddha talks about many Dharma practitioners are really outside of Buddhism. So he's not just talking about people who are like of other spiritual disciplines. He's talking about ones who are in Buddhism too. That they haven't even stepped into the true place where they can use the teachings to elevate their mind. And it's not because there's anything wrong with the Dharma, not because there's anything wrong with you. It's just that you can't go east and west at the same time. You have to decide, I'll try this or I'll try that. And when one gets a firm determination about that, all ready to embark upon the long, arduous journey, you find out there's nowhere to go. That it's all right here, right here. So my tears today, because there was no expression I could give to some clarity that I got yesterday. Just wordless, no words. But I got it though. And that's prajna. Imputing its brightness and its clarity so that I can see. Wasn't the mind coming up with anything? Wasn't the mind manifesting anything? Wasn't the mind creating anything? But like a light turned on and I could see what's in front of me. The main thing is that the Dharma one practices should accord with the extent of one's spiritual capacity. It should accord with the depth of one's own wisdom. It should correspond to the opportunity of karmic conditions coming together for one to become a bodhisattva or an arhat. By choosing the type of Dharma that corresponds to the coming together of karmic conditions and matches the opportunity, correspondence will naturally be achieved in learning the Dharma. And as a result, one will very quickly attain beneficial effects. And some of these things, he said we should not talk about, because people of ordinary minds will say that this should not be believed. In this type of situation, there are many people who say that the power of Dharma of esoteric Buddhism is simply unworthy of belief. But I think that is a most egregious mistake. They have entered this idea based on studying the teachings and precepts of other schools, or they have not truly practiced such Dharma. And if they have not practiced this Dharma, they do not know the actual effectiveness of it. Since they have not tested this Dharma, they do not have the right to say such words, and therefore they speak irresponsibly, saying whatever they want to say. But I'm telling you, one day they will come to learn these dharmas, because it is a natural phenomenon. It's a stage, it's a process. So Dharma teachings are established to express different practices that correspond to practitioners who are at different levels in their quest to realize the position of Buddhahood. Each Dharma has its own state of accomplishment. So he said, so we should be careful and cautious about composite dharmas into which we bring in lower level energies like ghosts and spirits of local ethnicities. We're mixing it in that way, but we should select dharmas that are good so as to carry out the meaning of awakened teachings. What we should do is diligently and tirelessly strive to correct our own conduct. And if so, we will have the help of the 8 kinds of Dharma protecting beings and the Dharma protecting holy ones in the 3 spheres. Anyway, my point of view is that one can eliminate attachment to self only after one eliminates selfishness, and that one can eliminate attachment to phenomena only after one eliminates attachment to self. To eliminate selfishness, one must start with the 4 limitless states of mind. This is my point of view. So I give you discourses on the 4 limitless states of mind, how to cultivate ourselves, and how to keep forging ahead. And I'm telling you, I'm skipping because, we're not, it's suggested that we don't skip. But I want to stay on topic with this. And he goes in and he talks about how monastics give him trouble, you know. Um, and when they asked him at the great monastery in China, the Baoguan temple, they asked him the abbot wanted to step down and have Buddha Master take over as the abbot. He said, can do. He said, I tell you this, I do not have the views of any particular sect or school. And I also want to do some things in art, in science, philosophy, in literature, in medicine, and other fields. And if I served as an abbot, it got bogged down in that position, sitting all day long, giving Dharma talks and talking nonstop, holding Buddhist rosary and wearing a Buddhist cassock, then I would become like a novice on duty at a temple. In such case, it would be difficult for me to get many things done. However, I very much respect you and what you're doing. And I tell you, so close to the end now, it's no need in me changing my job. No need in me. But if I knew from the beginning just a little bit that I know now, I would have made more use of my life. So a lot of times when you're counting up the cost of your life and you're looking back over your life, even the good things that you have done. I mean, when it's really matter. Yeah, that's the word, right? Maybe I have to say when it really matters. When it really matters, you want to know that you got it right. You really want to know that you got it right. And so many times I'm thinking about what I got right and what I got wrong. I don't mean like just right and wrong, but I mean useful, beneficial, whether I actually used all the talents that I had, whether, and all of these questions come up because something shifts in your sense of time when your whole time is not taken with your selfish endeavors. You find you have a lot of time on your hands, and always thinking. Not thinking, actually, because it just rolls up on you, and it's not something you can pull out from somewhere. It's kind of like just flashbacks. It's just like clouds moving in the sky. Things that you haven't thought about for decades. Some things you never thought about at all. And suddenly it rolls back. And you're looking at it now from where you seated, and you see something entirely different than what the lived experience was at that time. And so you wonder how that's going to work in the whole scheme of things. Like when you're doing your karma counting, that kind of thing. So he said, you should rely on the Dharma. And once the truth is understood within you, then you should rely on that. And you should rely on the meaning rather than the words. So sometimes when we're like discussing the Dharma, this is so what I heard was this. But there's a difference in hearing the words and catching the meaning. That's why he said we should speak the Dharma conversationally, as opposed to Paul parroting, statements, because we won't get it by so much Paul parroting. But we do have to listen deeply and ponder what it means. And on one day, it might mean this to me. On another day, it means something else. Or in the morning, it means, or just before I talk to you, it meant this to me. But now, it's speaking to me differently. He says, and in this way, we actually really grow. He says, one should read the sutras and the treatises because that's how we establish familiarity of the Dharma in our mind. So that's why when I'm talking to you, I'm repeating and repeating and repeating. I'm trying to inculcate your mind because it's already inculcated with something else. It says, but it's to establish familiarity with the Dharma in your mind. And then when the time is right, there will be an opening, and that refuge will save you. It says there's something else that you should understand is that different dharmas take different amounts of time to ripen or to open up our faculties. For instance, it takes about 10 years to successfully get the benefits of the practice of the 4 preliminary practices. It takes about 10 years to finish them. But suppose you don't practice the 4 preliminary practices, but you've encountered a great master who can confer inner tantric initiations. In such cases, you are lucky, for you are excused from practicing the 4 preliminary practices and can practice other dharmas. Perhaps you will practice a dharma that day by day leads to accomplishment, or another dharma that removes hindrances. Now, I like reading these kinds of things and hearing what people have to say, because when I read that one, I know that my master confers inner tantric initiations. So I know that this sentence is for me, that I don't have to spend 10 years doing the 10 preliminary practices. But if I don't hold that as my truth, that I need to do the 10 years of preliminary practices to get in my 100,000 everything to shift the mind. Yeah. As soon as I read it, I was like, oh, I know who my master is. And I know that he gives intertantric initiations. It appears to me all the time. So I'm not relying upon doing those practices to attain some level of accomplishment. You see, I mean, so you could pick. I mean, I hope you all are listening to me today, right? Because I would always say, I'm looking, he's giving us the hack. He's giving us the shortcut. I don't have 10 years to do the preliminary practices. Now, I'm not worried about it one bit because I know who he is. But if that doesn't, you don't have to take my you can't take my word for it. That just has to be real for you. And then he starts talking about the supreme and unsurpassable Mahamudra of liberation. And what great treasure it is. But we would rather pull out books by patriarchs, hundreds of years old, that have been Paul parroted. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the methods, but we get so excited about those methods. But how many people have we known over the hundreds of years that attained any of the marks of proficiency? And yet, those are so profound to us. He says, within the Samo is an initiation that enables the disciples to enter the rainbow body right then and there. The great perfection Dharma of esoteric Buddhism requires 12 years of practice to possibly obtain the expected state of realization. On the other hand, the Sammo has these special and complete contents that can enable the disciple to actually and personally, truly enter the rainbow body Buddha land world at the very time of receiving the initiation. So what is the reason for this? It comes from the completeness and the lineage empowerment that makes them vastly different. So today I'm kind of talking about, and I hope I'm encouraging us to not be lax and to not recognize the potency and the power of the Dharma that we have. In the Bible, it said like a prophet is respected everywhere, but in his own country. And so a lot of times we can take a rare and a precious and a powerful gift, but the grass always looks greener on the other side. And we have something in our hands that we don't recognize, the potency and the power of. We said it's like running around looking for your child when your child is strapped right on your back. It says, and at this time, this was written a long time ago, right? And he said, right now, it's not available for you. Once these lessons are published in a book in the future, you must earnestly read and strive to understand it. And at that time, the great dharmas of the Samu will be right in front of you. This is the Dharma that we should learn. We should not be one who flinches in the face of difficulty. Rather, we should use our presence in this world to do good deeds for living beings. We should do all that we can in this regard. Under the presupposition that we do not violate the law and create trouble for ourselves, we should go about taking care of our own matters, that we should learn the Buddha Dharma. We should realize accomplishment. We should realize fruits, and we should realize true prajna. If at the time your life is about to end, you cannot solve the matter of birth and death, then you can rely upon the power of Dharma to handle your consciousness. This is my point of view. And you can learn even higher dharmas depending upon your own karmic conditions. And I think I want to stop right there. He says, today you cannot listen to expounding the absolute truth through the Heart Sutra. My exposition can be given to only a portion of my disciples. So he was in China when he was giving this, and he was saying China has a system of managing religions. No large-scale propagation is permitted. So if you cause thousands upon thousands of people to come here to listen to me, it would be highly improper. It would cause problems. Says, rather, I would ask you to do your own job well. Take care of your issues of food and clothing, material benefits. Ensure that your own family is peaceful, is happy, is harmonious, and loving. Take care of your own health. Only then can you even consider studying Buddhist doctrine. And only after you study can you actually engage in cultivation. And only after that will you even be able to learn anything.
We dedicate the merit from this important teaching today to all beings in the Dharma sphere. May all beings have the courage to look within and to heed the advice of the Dharma, to follow the path leading to liberation. May the precious Bodhi mind not yet arisen arise and grow. And may that which has arisen never diminish, but grow evermore.